Nothing in life is linear, and that includes our education and employment journey. Whether you earned your GED as an adult, decided a four-year college wasn't the right path for you, or you're looking to employ a talent pool of competent candidates eager to join the workforce, you've come to the right place. Join me for Education Unplugged, where I can talk to learners, educators, and employers looking to destigmatize the educational road less traveled. We're here to make a positive impact today and for generations to come. It only takes one person to invest and connect with a learner for their belief in themselves to transform the future. From test taker to change maker, we're here sharing the stories of people who have taken a non-traditional path to a better life. Hello, and welcome to our 7th podcast of GED Unplugged. And I'm here with a very special guest. I'm so excited for all of you to get a chance to meet Marcus and to hear his story. I had the opportunity to meet Marcus a few months ago at the annual GED conference, where not only did he light up the audience with his energy and enthusiasm, but he also has a very compelling story, a story of resilience, a story of connection, a story really around how one decision can really change the trajectory of your life, but it also can put you on a path to exactly where you're meant to be. And so with that, I would love to give Marcus you an opportunity just to introduce yourself and to tell us a little bit about your story and how we all got connected.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Vicky. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm always excited to be able to talk to either the Marcuses out there, the other Marcuses out there that may hear themselves inside of my journey, or the folks who are wondering, what's next for them. And here's the cheat code. Let me get straight to the cheat, and then I'll rewind back. No one knows what's next for us. We all think that we all know. We all think that we're planning, and the reality of it is the highs and lows, the ups and downs. The roller coasters of our lives will kind of sort of begin to dictate where we'll end up going. But I think that there's something about building some level of intentionality along the journey that will allow us to be able to really reach the heights that that we're destined to be able to see. I know I didn't see that. I didn't understand that until many years later in my life, because in my earlier years, they were filled with making probably some really bad decisions. In fact, when I was 15 years old, I made one of the worst decisions of my life when myself and my best friend, who was also 16 years old, decided to steal a car from a man in a shopping mall parking lot. We saw a man that was sleeping in his vehicle. We asked him to get out of his vehicle with the handgun. He got out of his vehicle. We jumped in the driver's and passenger side of that car and drove off and left him there standing dazed and confused about what happened. After getting arrested for that crime, the very next day, I would end up going through court proceedings that would introduce me to some different vocabulary words, the vocabulary words that I was accustomed to when I was in my 9th grade, or even now at that point, my 10th grade year of high school. In the sophomore year, taking biology classes and, algebra courses, like I had vocabulary words like mitochondria or chondroplasia. But now, as a 15-year-old, I found myself in a position where I would be standing in front of a judge after being certified as an adult and hearing new vocabulary words like consecutive sentences and concurrent sentences and arraignment and magistrate and bond hearings. And while I wasn't familiar with those new vocabulary words, I couldn't imagine what would come next. When I would stand in front of him and that same judge would sentence me to spend the next 8 years of my life inside of maximum security adult prisons as a result of that decision I made that Saturday night. After about 2 years of realizing that I was actually going to have to serve all of that time, I started to get really, really dark, and I wanted to know what was going to happen to me in that part of that journey. And there were a few people that would deposit in my life that would help me understand that there were still opportunities for me to add value to my world. One of the ones who I like to talk about, specifically who I talked about openly on the stage at the GD conference, Vicky, was my friend, Miss Alice. And she was the one that was very instrumental in working not only to try to beat something across my head and help me understand that there was still a lot of goals in my life that left to accomplish, and my first step to them would probably be my GED. But she would work with my mom to even try to understand how to accelerate that hard head that I had and trying to break through to help me understand the power of just this one exam that would change everything for me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
took
You
my
know what?
GED test, and that was interesting.
I know. And you know, when it makes me smile because Alice, you know, again, when you were at the GED conference and you told your story, I think everyone's mouth drops, right? Because they look at you, they see this really enthusiastic, energy filled, game changing. When you walk into a room, you change the game, right? You just like instantly have that aura of you. And so when you talk about Alice, when you talk about your mom, those are really impactful individuals. And we know that, again, I talk about this all the time on this podcast, is it takes one person to change your life, one person to give you that light maybe that you didn't see at the time. And so for me, what I love about your Miss Alice story is she was that person for you that wasn't going to give up no matter what, even when you wanted to give up. So talk more about what she did and how she's still influential in your life today.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, the interesting thing about that part of the journey was that there probably were some other people in my life that honestly wanted to be the Miss Alice's of my world before I got a chance to meet her. The crazy thing of it is that I wasn't smart enough to pull any of those threads when those folks were reaching out and extending an arm, and it probably would have circumvented me from being able to end up in one of the spaces where I had ended up. But here's the great thing about what you alluded to when we first started this when we first started the conversation is that sometimes the paths end up we're supposed to end up exactly where we are, and when the moment that we have those revelations, excuse me, we should probably listen to them. I was definitely not that one that when it came that that was on my shoulder telling me I should listen to Miss Alice. I was not it. That I still wasn't. I wasn't ready to receive it. Miss Alice, she was intentional about ensuring that I understood how smart I was and how valuable I could continue to be. But my mom was like, "Listen, boy, yeah, she's right. But what you need to understand is you need to have something that you can cling on to. You need to have something that you can look forward to. You need to be stretching your brain and you need to continue to build goals in your life. And as you think about what the next goal is, no matter what situation you find yourself in, even after a prison sentence, you have to figure out how to navigate this. And I think that was instrumental for them to work together and for Miss Alice to push through. Now I'm grateful that she didn't give up. You know what I mean? And it was interesting being at the conference with you all out in Long Beach because I met a bunch of Miss Alice's and those folks who just are adamant about not giving up. Couldn't have been me. Let me tell you, Vicky, because I would have been one of the ones that was like, yeah,
Hmm.
look, you don't want to do it, don't do it. Look,
Yeah.
we got another seat we can fill, right? But those people who are like, no, listen, I believe in you. You may not have heard anyone tell you this, but you're brilliant. And you can do this. And no matter what kind of conflict, type of anything barrier I try to put in front of me, someone's going to push past that. Yeah, I'm grateful for her as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, here's the thing is that Marcus, where what you went through, there's thousands, actually millions. There's 40 million adults out there walking around without a high school diploma right now today. And right now, there's someone saying to themselves, I don't believe in myself. I didn't go the
Wait a
traditional
minute, you say 40 million?
million adults in the US today are walking around without a high school diploma. And what I can tell you, what we know about those learners, and you said it and you alluded to it, is fear of failure is the number one thing, right? They're held back because they don't necessarily see the skills, the resilience, the human side of what they could be to society and citizens as part of society. And one of the things that I think you have a gift in and that you've proven is that you see things in people instantaneous, even when you didn't see it. So you had Miss Alice, you had your mom, and now the tables have completely turned and now it's you. So talk to the 40 million out there. Talk to every learner that's saying, yep, I want you to fill that seat with someone else because I'm not ready. Or I want you to go to the next learner because I don't have what it takes to pass and earn my GED. Talk to those learners.
Yeah, this is one is a really, really simple one. Don't forfeit the opportunity to be able to bring your own greatness to the tables that you dreamt about eating from. The reality of it is that we all daydream about eating from some of these tables, and sometimes we know that there's going to be a bit of work that's going to take in order for us to get there. And then what happens is we see the work, we immerse ourselves around the work, we listen to the work, we see pictures of the work, we hear others that are part of the work, and then fear starts to set in.
Yep, that's right.
Fear starts to set in. The apprehension to take the next step starts to set in, because whether or not you're feeling the imposter syndrome, or you're feeling that the possibility of failure is so imminent that you're going to be on the losing side of that bad decision that you're trying to make before you take the next step. And I'm going to tell you that it's not a bad decision. It's always a great decision to take the next step. None of us are ever going to be able to have the opportunity to be able to eat at any of the tables that we daydream about unless we're able to just take the very first step. The problem is that we think that there's this massive thing that we have to do. No, just take the very first step.
Yeah, it's showing, I've talked about this in previous podcasts. It's choose your hard, right? It's hard to sit in a job that really is not going to take you to where you want to go. It's hard to earn a living that's not making ends meet. It's hard to not have your dreams come true. And the only way to overcome the hard and choose your hard is to do the route that you know that you're meant to do, which is take the step, earn your GED, and it's the start to something really, really big, right? Choose your hard.
Absolutely.
Choose your hard.
And it signals, and the accomplishment is going to feel amazing. I mean, we all feel, I don't care what you accomplish in life. The moment that it's you complete it, you feel amazing. And this is going to be a big one. You're going to feel freaking amazing. It's going to something that's you're going to carry for the rest of your years. I mean, I'm still talking about, me getting my GED. Many years later, and the pride that I have behind it. Even the people around me that surrounded me in my life during that time, where there was probably hundreds or even thousands of other folks, I will never be able to call their names again. But there's something around that accomplishment that means something valuable, even after you do it.
It is. It's so true. And, again, fear of failure is holding all of these learners back because, again, they went through the K2 through 12 system. They may have made one bad decision. We know lots of GED learners left high school because someone at their home was sick. They may have had to get a job to help support the family. They may have been supporting the family. They may have suffered depression, anxiety, severe in many cases. I've talked to thousands of learners out there who their life circumstances, again, one decision, not necessarily their decision to make, but one decision changed their trajectory of their educational pathway. And one of the things that I love to hear from GED grads, and you're one of the GED grads, and you're also just this incredible speaker, a business owner, is that employers out there today. So you as a business owner, you as an entrepreneur, you as someone that has overcome a lot of things. When I talk about the GED learner, I talk about someone who never quits, right? As soon as they earn that credential, they're on their way. They also show persistence. They show resilience. They show the ability to troubleshoot and really overcome big problems in many circumstances. Grit, right? Grit is at like the center of every single GED learner that I've ever met. And one of the things is that we still have yet, with all of that, with all those things being said, we still have a stigma of the GED graduate versus a high school graduate. Why do you think that is? Given I look at you and I look at your success, I look at thousands of other GED learners out there. Why is there still a difference in the market, and how do we overcome that?
I think it's who you ask. I don't think that, I want to refute that. I think that I don't know if the stigma exists any longer for the leaders of 2024. And the reason why I say that is because the leaders in 2024, the future leaders of 2025, understand the magnitude of effort that is going to have to be exerted when you're going to go take your GED. See, the reality of it is that the learner thinks that the big part is the things that you're going to the things you're going to write on an exam, the check boxes that you're going to have to create on an exam, that knowing the answers to the questions. But the people who are, like I said in my seat, who are the employers or who are strategically thinking about the right people to put inside of their companies, one, I actually want to ensure that you do understand the content that exists inside of these exams. But more than that, I'm looking at your character. As an adult, you were able to go through something, withstand this figure out a way to pull out the courage, the resilience, the tenacity to be able to go put an application in for a thing, to refresh and recalibrate your brain, to relearn stuff that you probably forgotten for over the last whatever days, weeks, months, sometimes even years before you've seen this content again. Gone through the pressures of actually having to sign up, having your heart racing, beating out of your chest when you first walk into the room, all the way through answering that first, second, and third question and getting them all right in your head. And you're like, oh, I got this. Because once you get to question number 4 and 5, then you're like, bet.
Confidence.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Yes,
that.
yes. That's right.
Miss Alice told me about,
Yeah.
got all this, right?
Yeah.
And then now you're out your head, and now you're like, oh, I'm banging out the test. And then you've gotten through that, and then you've completed the exam, you've gotten your certificate, and then because of what you thought the stigma that was going to be attached to this exam, as you think about going out and going announce to the world that you completed this thing, and then you've seen the acceptance of it, all of those are massive psychological barriers that you had to overcome in order to get from 0 to 1. Now, as you pursue your goals to go from 1 to 10, you're exactly who I need to have on my team. And I understand that now as an employer. And all of the other employers who don't understand that, you're now on the other side of forfeiting the opportunity to be able to get the most incredible people inside of your companies and inside of your organizations. You're forfeiting the opportunity to be able to bring someone who you clearly has seen has been able to overcome massive barriers, hitting a goal, and still showing that they have the academic proudness to be able to work inside of your companies.
Oh.
You're crazy to pass up on that amazing talent.
I wish that I could box what you just said, and maybe we will box exactly what you just said, because one of the things that, first of all, what you said is spot on. It is spot on because the GED learner is actually a community employee that every employer should want. They're the employees that did go through lots of different life circumstances, and they also did it based upon a community around them. And so not only is it that you're hiring them, but you're hiring the entire community who supported them along the way, who is now an advocate of that learner along the way, who is now going to look at that employer as saying that employer gets it. That employer gets it because they hired the right person for the role. They didn't hire them because they didn't have the 4-year degree or they were missing experiences. They hired the right person for the job because they were exactly the human capital type of human they wanted to bring into the organization. So I love everything that you said, and I could not have said it any better. And it's something that we talk a lot about at GED, and we talk a lot about how do we get to employers and learners that really don't understand the value behind the GED. And you alluded to some of these. It's really hard to come back and study for an exam after you've been out of school for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, name the year, it doesn't even matter. Studying for your GED is really difficult. It's really intimidating. It's really overwhelming. And in many cases, Marcus, what we know about GED learners is that the K through 12 system actually failed them. Some of them may have learning disabilities. Some of them may not like to learn sitting in a classroom the way that the school system is set up. And I think that, again, there's a perception that the GED is a way out for some individuals. It's actually a way in. It's a way in for individuals to get to where they want to go. And what we know about GED learners, Marcus, is that 53% go on to post-secondary as soon as they earn that GED because they're confident. They did exactly what you said, is Miss Alice prepared you, or they prepared themselves, and now they want to go on to bigger and better things. So as every listener out there is listening to your story and to what you have overcome, what you've accomplished, what is it that you want every employer to know about investing in a GED learner? You alluded to some of it, but what is it that you really want to know that they're getting when they get a GED learner as an employee?
Yeah. What you're getting someone that's been that you think that HR or you will have this kind of sort of vetting process, but you don't. When you're hiring folks, none of us really know who we're getting, right? Unless you're hiring inside of a community. And you talked about that. When you're hiring inside of a community, you get something a bit different. You're getting the person and you're getting the community along with them, but you're also ensuring that you're getting some of the stability and the wraparound services that most candidates for an employment opportunity don't have. You see, when I'm hiring people and I'm working with some of our community-based organizations that are being thoughtful about the people and supporting them, the folks who are governing there, now I know I'm getting of the right type of candidate because now I'm talking to this person and they're referring me to the people that they're working with. I get an opportunity to be able to talk to them. I get a chance to hear about the amazingness with them. And this is exactly what you're getting with, when you get a GED candidate.
Yeah.
Now, most of us, we don't have the capacity to be able to talk to the community of folks around us. And so what we do is we try to figure out ways to be able to build. So we try to figure out ways to be able to build we call relational trust. And relational trust ensures that we have the ability to count on the relationships that others develop and understand the trust that they have will hopefully magnetize, and we can pull those same mechanisms of trust inside of our own circles as well. And if we have that relational trust within our companies and we understand as a hiring team that we should be thoughtful about leveraging that, then you know that you're going to get an incredible candidate. Now, that's just what the data and the any of the psychological research is going to be able to tell you as you think about building HR programs within your company. But as somebody who has been on both sides of the table, the hiring side and the person who has been on the test taking side, and sometimes a bit apprehensive about talking about the GED because I'm nervous about any potential stigma that attaches to it. I can tell you, again, no one's going to outpace me or outrun me on the side of the treadmill. Nobody.
Nobody.
And I promise you, almost everybody that was in my classroom taking the GED feels the same way.
Yeah, it's the what I've learned from the GED learner is they don't quit. That is one characteristic that has been consistent is
nobody's going to outrun us.
No one's going to outrun you.
Trying to tell you.
I know. And there's this like perpetual engine.
We've proven it over and over again.
That's exactly right. You showed up and you keep showing up and you keep raising the bar and you keep doing that. I love it. So let's talk about your company. Tell everyone what you do and how you got started.
It was interesting. I mean, while I promise you, I thought that the end of my path was a prison sentence. And I did actually have to serve all 8 of those years inside of prison, growing up inside of some of the worst prisons in the state of Virginia. It allowed for me to be able to see a very interesting market opportunity. I tell people all the time when I get inside of some of these big stages, when I get a chance to speak, whether it's in Long Beach or whether I'm at, a Microsoft conference, or just now when I just came back off of a speaking tour last week, I feel so blessed to be able to now be one of the people that can contribute back to some of the places where I live. And I say that I did 8 years of market research. Now, let me tell you how our product works. Mm-hmm. After coming home from prison, I realized that mail call in the process of staying connected to someone in prison means everything to all of us. There's something humanizing about being connected to people and continuing to build relationships with folks. But the reality of it is that when you go away and you're locked away inside of a jail or a prison cell for days, weeks, months, sometimes decades at a time, you lose some of those relationships, just like I started to lose them. Now, my mom stayed in contact with me the entire time while I was in prison. It allowed for me to be able to have a relationship that gave me access to the world very smoothly as I transitioned out of prison. But most people don't have that. And so we built a mobile application that's called FlickShop that allows our family members to easily stay in contact with their loved ones. They don't have to struggle to do it any longer. They can download our mobile app in the App Store, and our app allows them the ability to take a picture, add some quick text, press send, and for 99 cents, we print that picture and text on a real tangible postcard and ship it to any person in any cell anywhere in the country. Now, we've connected over 185,000 families as a result of permeating this app around the country, and I'm super excited for the millions of photos that we'll continue to send of whether it be the first day of school, baby photos, Christmas morning photos, those notes that assure people that they're valued and loved no matter where they live.
Is it sometimes for you a pinch me moment when you think about what you've gone through, what you've accomplished, and then what you're continuing to do? Because when I think about the work that you're doing, you're connecting, you're keeping a community connected. Your story is touching the lives of millions of folks that can relate to things that either you've gone through or that you've been through or that you continue to talk about. And yet you're not going to quit. And it feels like in some ways you're just really getting started. Does it feel real to you? This is all your life and this is you accomplishing the things that you're eating at the table that you always thought you were going to eat at?
You know what? I did. I daydreamed about these moments for years. And if I'm being honest, I never knew what it would look like. I never knew, what the path would be or exactly how we were going to string together any of the ideas that I had to create any level of success. But what I will say is that one, I'm grateful for the people that were smart enough to pray for me when I wasn't smart enough to pray for myself. I'm grateful for the people like the Miss Alice's of the world who believed in me when I wasn't smart enough to be able to calm down and for just short enough time to be able to see my own internal brilliance. But I'm also grateful for some of my friends along the journey who rooted for me, who the ones who like pushed me in my cell and locked me in a cell door and told me that I couldn't go out and go get in a fight with a dude in a rec yard over 2 honey buns because that would completely disrupt my entire life. I'm grateful for the people who would finally give me an opportunity and gave me a job when I first came home so that I can have some proof that I was actually valuable to the world, the community that I think I stole so much from before I went to prison. I'm so grateful for the customers that leverage our product right now. It's like each one of those places. Essentially, what I'm saying is it allows me to be able to look back in hindsight and recall those moments, and it creates a sense of humility. And so while I knew that I would be here, and I daydreamed about being here, and I couldn't see the threads that would connect me to these moments that I have and blessed to be able to have now, the pinch me moments come when I'm like, yo, you have to pause for a second and honestly just take note of it all and be grateful. Pinch yourself again and be grateful.
Yeah, they say there's always something to be grateful for. And it's incredible when you look at the world around you and you are grateful how the things that you maybe took for granted at some point in your life now become something that's at the center and what you really, really, truly mean the most to you, and why grateful can be sometimes just jumping out of bed and getting exciteful, and grateful might be just food someday, and grateful be just being part of society. But when you take grateful to the next level, everything about your life changes. We all have things to be grateful for, and one of the many things I'm grateful for is you and your ability to really connect with our GED learners, with our audience, and the investment that you're making to really change lives. And so I love to give everyone the last word. So Marcus, what is the last word, or what's the last words of advice or thoughts that you have for the audience out there?
Nah, Vicky, first, listen, the best thing ever is for me to dap up one of the folks who are thinking about going to go pursue their GED, or dapping up someone who just completed their GED, or dapping up someone who's still in the class right now. And I get a chance to be able to hear their story. I get a chance to kind of sort of learn a little bit about their journey. And it's interesting how we all have these very interesting paths to be able to try to figure out how to create our own yellow brick roads to success. But I'm always grateful when I have those moments to be able to dap them up, because it's just something special about people who are taking that bull by the horns and they're like, yo, I'm going to go get it. So shout out to all of you that even thinking about doing it. If you're thinking about doing it, look, legit, just take the next step. If you're doing it right now, and you're in class right now and you're wondering like, yo, am I doing the right thing? Oh my gosh, the road seems so long. Oh my goodness, I really can't get this thing. Oh my gosh, if they try to give me to conjugate one more verb. Like if you're at that stage right now, then what I will tell you is that you already came this far. You might as well keep pushing all the way to the end and go crush it. And then come on the other side and tell a dope story so that you can help someone else. Now, if you're one of the ones who've completed this and you've gotten through it, and now you're on the other side and you're like, oh man, what's next? None of us really know what's next. But what I will say is continue to channel the same levels of tenacity and resilience that you had to be able to channel to put that first step in front of the other in order to be able to go get your GED. So many people are looking at you and they're looking up to you. They're looking for you to direction. And so I want you to take that responsibility and live with that. It's okay. It's okay to live that. Don't feel the pressure of it. Just live with it. And know that just like you took that first step, you're taking that next step in your journey. Listen, I'm grateful to be able to be a part of this community, Vicky. And I'm super obviously grateful to talk about my own personal experience. But none of this could happen if it wasn't for all of those dope people who I got a chance to be able to hug when we went in Long Beach. So shout out to all of the educators. Shout out to the administrators. Shout out to the lady that just opened up the door for the gentleman who didn't know what he was doing when he first walked in to your office yesterday morning. Shout out to the folks who were wondering whether or not it was the right decision to buy that sandwich for the person that you knew was hungry but couldn't afford to eat when they came to class yesterday. I know you couldn't afford to do it, but you did it, and I'm grateful for you. And no one's going to tell you thank you. So let me be the one to tell you that. And then shout out to all of the folks who commit their lives to ensuring that you're creating a legion of Marcuses. Sometimes we won't be able to tell you thank you. So let me be the one of the ones to tell you. The people that run through your classrooms, the people that have built families now like me, have a wife and 3 children, they may not ever meet Miss Alice, but they can live through me, and I'm telling you, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mark. That's beautifully said. Very beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you not only for your story, for being vulnerable, for being open and honest about the trials and tribulations that you went through, but thank you for also recognizing how many people it really takes to change lives out there and the investment that it takes. So thank you to everything that you're doing, and for the mentorship that you're doing, all the things that you're doing. You're changing the lives of millions. And I know everyone that listens to this, Marcus, is going to be inspired by you and what you're doing and how you're doing it. So thank you. And thank you to Miss Alice and your mom also. They certainly, your mom raised an incredible young man. So thank you to you taking your time to be with me today. And as always, I say at the end of every podcast is it takes one person. It takes one person to change the lives of millions and for generations to come. So if you're listening, be that one person. Be the person that does buy the sandwich. Be the person that does invest in someone, and be the person that tells someone a skill or an ability that they have and they don't even realize what they had. So thank you again to Marcus, and please stay tuned into our next episode that will launch next week. Go ahead, be the one person, and stay well. Thank you.